These days it feels like every other weed strain is named after some celebrity. A rapper, an athlete, a movie star. And honestly, most of the time, it's pure marketing and nothing more. The famous person usually had nothing to do with it at all, never even touched it, and probably doesn't even know the strain exists. But every now and then, one of these celebrity strains is the real deal. And the most famous example of that is a strain named after an actual basketball Hall of Famer. A strain where the player didn't just lend his name to it, but genuinely signed off on it and got personally involved. This is the story of the Gary Payton strain. So let's start with the strain itself, because it actually earned its hype long before the celebrity name ever mattered. Gary Payton, or just GP as a lot of people call it, is a balanced hybrid, which means it sits right in the middle between the energizing sativa side and the relaxing indica side of weed. And it's a potent one. It hits with a fast, euphoric, happy head high that leaves you feeling giggly and talkative and focused, before slowly easing you down into a nice, relaxed body feeling, all without totally gluing you to the couch. It's the kind of well-rounded, do-it-all high that experienced smokers really appreciate, one that works just as well hanging out with friends as it does winding down. And it backs that up with some serious strength, usually testing somewhere in the low to mid-20s% range for THC, which is why it's really a strain for people who already know their tolerance. And the way it looks and smells is a big part of why people fell for it. This is a proper exotic strain, the kind with dense, chunky, colorful buds, deep green with hints of purple and burnt orange hairs, and on top of all that, it's absolutely caked in frosty, sparkling trichomes. And as for the smell, it is loud. It's got this pungent, gassy diesel kind of punch to it, mixed with a sharp, peppery, spicy kick on top. And then a sweeter, almost fruity, cookie-like note hiding just underneath all of it. It's the kind of jar you can smell across an entire room the second you crack it open. Between those frosty, colorful looks and that loud aroma, it just screams top shelf. And that bag appeal is a huge part of the exotic weed game. But now we get to the good part, the story of how it actually got that name. And it started with something called a pheno hunt. See, when breeders make a new cross, they often grow out a big batch of plants from those seeds, and every single one comes out a little different. So they'll hunt through every single one of those plants, carefully looking for that one rare standout, the absolute best of the whole entire bunch. And in this particular hunt, out of all those plants, it was the 20th one that completely stole the show. The number 20 was the keeper. Now the breeder and the whole Cookies crew are all huge basketball fans, and there just happens to be one legendary player who famously wore the number 20 his whole career. So when that 20th plant turned out to be the undisputed star of the whole hunt, they naturally just started calling it Gary Payton. It was basically an inside joke among a bunch of basketball fans, and the name just stuck. But the story doesn't end with an inside joke, because the real Gary Payton found out about it. Because as that strain started blowing up and getting hyped all over the internet, bootleggers out in Oakland started slapping the Gary Payton name onto fake bags of weed just to cash in on it. Eventually, Gary Payton's own sons saw all the buzz online, and they went and told their dad that his name was suddenly all over this brand new strain. But instead of getting angry and shutting it down, Payton actually wanted to do it the right way, completely legitimately. He figured he was already in the Basketball Hall of Fame with nothing left to lose, so why not just lean into it and enjoy it? So through some mutual friends in the Bay Area, he ended up meeting with Berner, the man behind Cookies, and the two of them struck a real, official deal to license his name and likeness. And that's the whole reason this strain is different from the fakes. Because unlike almost every other celebrity-named strain out there, this one was a genuine, real partnership. Gary Payton actually got involved. He personally signed off on the whole thing, and he even helped out with the creative side of it, handpicking the exact picture of himself that went on the front of the bags, which were styled to look almost like an old Wheaties cereal box, except made for weed. So the man whose name is on the front of it wasn't just some distant celebrity quietly cashing a check. He was actually part of making it real, which is almost unheard of in the weed world. So let's clear up exactly who created this thing, because there are two different players here. On the one side, you've got the actual breeder, a Bay Area grower who goes by the name Powers, and his company. He's the one who actually did all the hard work of making that original cross and then patiently hunting down that one perfect 20th plant. On the other side, you've got Cookies, the massive cannabis brand founded by the rapper and entrepreneur Berner. Cookies then took that one special plant, gave it the Gary Payton name, handled the whole official licensing deal, and used its huge platform to launch it out to the entire world. So the breeder created it, and then Cookies made it a superstar. Two different jobs, two different players, working together on one strain. Now I want to bust a myth for a second, because the genetics of this strain get reported wrong all the time. Gary Payton is a cross between two strains, one called Snowman and one that growers just call the Y. And that second parent, the Y, is where the confusion comes in. All over the internet, you'll see people confidently claim that the Y refers to a completely different, famous Spanish strain. But that's just not actually right. The real Y in this recipe is a member of the Cookies family, a plant built from Girl Scout cookies and cherry pie genetics. And there's a simple way to prove it, because that exact same cross produced another famous strain you've definitely heard of: cereal milk. See, Cookies' own strain cereal milk comes from those very same two parents, Snowman and the Y, which means Gary Payton and cereal milk are basically siblings, both born from the very same batch of seeds. They just happened to turn out completely different from each other in the end. Gary Payton became the loud, gassy, peppery one, while cereal milk became the sweet, creamy, dessert-flavored one. So the honest rule of thumb here is a really simple one. When the internet databases and the actual breeder disagree about genetics, you believe the breeder every time. And the breeder himself says clearly it's the Cookies family plant, not the Spanish one. And that other parent, Snowman, brings its own pedigree to the table too. See, Snowman is a specific version of the legendary Girl Scout cookies, and it got its name for a good reason. It grows so completely covered in those white, frosty crystals of resin that the whole plant honestly looks like it got dusted with a fresh layer of snow. So, when you combine that frosty, cookie-flavored Snowman with that Cookies family Y parent, you can see exactly where Gary Payton gets its serious potency, its loud gas, and that sweet little note buried underneath all the diesel. So with genetics like that, it's no wonder the strain became such a huge deal. When Gary Payton first dropped, it landed right in the middle of the modern exotic weed craze, where people will happily pay premium prices for small batch, top shelf, high-end flower. So you know that means it was expensive. Early on, it was selling for around $70 for just an eighth of an ounce, and it would sell out in hours. Berner himself hyped it up as the Wheaties box of the weed game, the ultimate combination of a great product and, even better, flashier packaging. It wasn't all just empty hype either, though, because in concentrate form especially, Gary Payton has gone on to win real, legitimate awards at some serious cannabis competitions. So that combination of hype, quality, and a Hall of Fame name gave it staying power, because a lot of hyped-up strains sell like crazy for a single year and then just completely vanish. Gary Payton didn't do that. Years after it dropped, it's still one of the most popular and recognizable strains in the country. It's a true, genuine modern classic in the Cookies lineup. It even became so popular that breeders everywhere started using it as a parent to build their own brand new strains, creating a whole family tree of Gary Payton crosses. There's even one out there named The Glove, being named after Payton's own famous nickname from his playing days. So at the end of the day, Gary Payton is that rare celebrity strain that actually lives up to its name. It started off as a simple inside joke about a 20th plant matching a number 20 jersey, and it grew into a genuine, officially blessed partnership with a real, living basketball Hall of Famer. It's a potent, gassy, beautiful hybrid with a deep Cookies family bloodline that it shares with cereal milk. And it earned its top-shelf reputation on real quality, not just a famous name. It's living proof that every once in a while, the hype behind a strain is actually completely real.